ओके मानव, जब रेडियो कर लियो स्टार्ट। रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन है ब्रूट?
रिकॉर्डिंग होना।
परफेक्ट मानव, ऑल योर्स।
सिर्फ 1 मिनट।
रेडी से बता दियो।
ठीक है, तो करें स्टार्ट।
ठीक।
ठीक है, तो हेलो एवरीवन, गुड इवनिंग। आई एम मानव, आई एम अ स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम दिल्ली, and today I'm going to talk about self-hosting and moving away from proprietary SaaS services. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is SaaS and why should I care about it. So recently we've heard a lot about this term called cloud computing. So cloud computing is just basically SaaS wrapped up in fancy layers. And SaaS, basically the full form of SaaS is software is service as a software substitute, which basically means that something that should be running on your computer, on your hardware, is running on somebody else's server and is doing all the computation and work for you and is sending you back the data. So it's taking your data, it's doing the computation, and it's sending back that data. This is SaaS. Now, why should I care? Because of the very simple fact that you are giving up all of your data to a server which is running a binary you know nothing about, and it's running that on your data and then giving you back the data that is required, that you require. And I mean, you kind of, I don't think you can actually trust it, because you don't know what the binary is there. If you have a copy of that proprietary software on your laptop and you're running it, at least you know what your what data is going in and what's coming out, at least partially. But in case of a server, you have absolutely no idea. So even that binary that should be running on your machine is running on that server. So that is the basic idea of SaaS. I would recommend everyone to go and check this great article out. This is an article by the GNU Foundation. I'll just put the link in the Jitsi chat as well. It's titled "Who Does That Server Really Serve?" I think this is an excellent article that is going to complement my talk today. And the main purpose of my talk is to encourage more people to start self-hosting things and move away from proprietary services that we often use in our day-to-day life. So yeah, so the gist of this article is that initially servers were never actually meant to, process things. Servers were just meant to, they were just meant to serve your data, serve the static content that you are giving it. So let me take an example over here. So for example, your blog is running on a server. It's not SaaS. Another example could be maybe Instagram. So Instagram, without any of its other functionalities, it's just a photo hosting platform. But when you take into other things such as filters, photos, morphing, editing, etc., it then becomes a SaaS, because it's processing your photo, and it's essentially, it's taking your photo and you're kind of trusting Instagram with that photo. Please don't use this photo. Please don't do anything with it, and please keep it safe. I don't think it's that easy. Recently, I attended a talk on free software philosophies and ideas, and the person who was delivering the talk summed up really beautifully. He said, none of the things that we use are free. All of them come with a cost. If you are using something that seems free, then you are the one being sold. Your data is being continuously being given to the service and etc., and you have to come to terms with what cost do you want to pay. So do you want to pay the cost in terms of your data or in terms of your time and money? So there's that. Now next, I would like to go on and share whatever things I host and take you guys on a little tour of all that, so that we can actually understand what things I host and if you guys should or should not host. So this is what my server configuration currently looks like. I have a Raspberry Pi 4 running at home, which has a bunch of things running. So it has a Pi-hole instance, it has Jupyter Lab, it has Nextcloud, and a small media stack which I'm going to touch upon in a minute. Next, I have two Oracle Cloud VMs which are also running a bunch of things, and I have okay. So this is wrong. This is supposed to be this one is supposed to be an Azure VM. So I have one Azure and two Oracle Cloud VMs, and yeah. So basically, first let's talk about what Pi-hole is. So Pi-hole is basically a DNS level ad blocker. What it does is that it takes up all your queries that you are so the idea of a DNS server is that you basically on the internet computers communicate by IP addresses. Now if you go into your browser and type in google.com, it essentially goes to a DNS server and asks it what the IP of google.com is. The DNS server replies by giving it a certain IP address, and your browser sends a request to that IP address. So the idea of Pi-hole is that you will have a bunch of domains listed, which which are constant, which serve ads, and as soon as any request will go from your network to that domain, it will block it. It's that simple. Again, the biggest things that people install Pi-hole for are YouTube and Spotify ads, and it does not work for either of them because of the very simple fact that Spotify and YouTube both use the same DNS servers to serve their content and their ads. People have succeeded in blocking YouTube ads, but that's only, not efficient 100% of time. I did try blocking Spotify ads. It worked for some time, but after a certain point in time, their DNS server switched and my Spotify stopped working because of the fact that I was blocking the domain. So there's that. So this is the idea of Pi-hole. Next up, we have Jupyter Lab. I do not have Jupyter Lab here for demo, but the idea of Jupyter Lab is that it provides you basic a Python environment in which you can experiment. It is an interactive IPython environment, and a lot of people often use it for experimentation and stuff. Okay, so let's move on to next up. Now, Nextcloud is actually, this is what at least my Nextcloud looks like, and it is actually one of my favorite things on my stack that I host. I hope there's not a lot of noise from my side. Is there? Okay, I don't think so. Okay, so let's just move forward. So Nextcloud is one of my favorite things to self-host because it essentially gives you your own self-hosted suite of things. It has support for, of course, it has support for files. You can upload files, sync your desktop client with it. So I have like a folder in my directory, home directory, and I can essentially, okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, so I can essentially download files to and from this, and all I have to do is put it into a directory in my home directory, and my Nextcloud my Nextcloud client automatically syncs it to this. I have support for photos, so all my photos from my phone are synced to this. I have support for Nextcloud Talk is essentially like Jitsi or Bigloo Button or anything like that. Currently on my Raspberry Pi, I have tested it out with 5 users with video, audio, and screen sharing on, and it worked flawlessly. It also has support for contacts. So it can sync all my contacts from my phone and onto my laptop and so forth. GitHub is basically just a link to open GitHub. This is my grepad instance. It has support for Element, which is a matrix client, and I have a password manager built in. Currently, things that I'm not using in Nextcloud, but I used to use them, which are the newsfeed reader, which is an RSS reader. It has support for something called bookmarks. Essentially, Nextcloud has hundreds of apps, so I can just go here and click apps, and it has hundreds of apps, and you can almost add anything into it. So it also has its own inbuilt mail client. It also it also has support for Rainloop. So Rainloop is another great self-hosted mail client. And the great thing about Rainloop integration in Nextcloud is that you don't need to like host your own Rainloop server. Nextcloud does that for you. It also has so another thing it has is document editing. So you can just add an app here. It hosts a Collabora server for you and adds support for that inside this as well. So it is an amazing groupware. I love it. So yeah, this is what Nextcloud is all about. Next, I think we can move on to my current media stack. So as far as my media stack is concerned, I use Transmission, Headphones, and Jellyfin, along with a bunch of small Python scripts that do basic things for me. So let me walk you through this. Transmission is a torrent client which looks like this. So this is a very simple torrent client. All I need to do is click on plus and add the magnet link over here, and it will download it onto my Raspberry Pi, which is running this. And a simple Python script sees the extension and what is it about and moves it into the appropriate directory. So for example, if it's music, it moves it into the music directory so that my media server over here, Jellyfin, can serve it. If it's a movie or a TV show, it sorts. So Jellyfin needs a, okay, I'll get to Jellyfin after this. The basic idea is that there's a small Python script running that does basic things for me. And yeah, I also, since I thought my Raspberry Pi is running 24/7, so why not support some projects by seeding ourselves? This is why I've seeded Arch Linux, Debian, and 2 other Garuda ISOs over here. Yeah, so I seed them 24/7. Next, I think we can move on to Jellyfin. Jellyfin is my media server. Okay, I think I'll have to reload. Yeah, so Jellyfin is a media server, which basically what it does is it takes whatever is present in your hard disk. So all this is present in my hard disk. It takes that. Okay, I should not probably not do this. Okay, so it basically takes that and fetches all this metadata, all these images and stuff, this rating, subtitles, etc., everything, and gives it to you. I can actually just click here and stream it from my phone. And the best thing about Jellyfin, you can stream it with your phone, Android TV, Apple TV, iOS, iPad. I think it has support for Apple Watch as well. You can also, so another great thing about Jellyfin is something called Sync Play, which basically lets you, so if 4 people are logged into your server and you click on Sync Play, it will create a group. Others can join that group, and and all your whatever you are playing syncs. So if one person pauses, it pauses for everyone, and so forth. So recently, a bunch of friends streamed a movie on this. I think 4 or 5 people very comfortably streamed a movie and without any hiccups on this. I think it was a great experience. It was, and by the way, it was a 1080p movie, and it was streaming in 60 FPS. Yeah. So this is what Jellyfin is about. It has support for movies, music, and TV shows. And basically, it can, I mean, if I, it can extract all this stuff for you without you doing any of the work, and you just have to give it listing in a very particular form. So you need, I'll just close this. So basically you need to just arrange your files in a particular way, and it will index all of them, read all of them, fetch metadata, and get it to you very quickly. Okay, I see a question: Jellyfin versus Plex. As far as I know, Plex slash MB, both of these are proprietary alternatives. I did not want to go for proprietary. I have read up a lot on both of these, and as far as experience goes, people say Plex is a little better on handling music. So this, I had to work a little bit on making it recognize some of these. I mean, it still says this best of Maroon 5 playlist is by someone called A-Track. This was not easy. I had to tell it some things. So it's not very good in terms of music. But other than that, I think it pretty much. So Jellyfin is a fork of Plex. No, Jellyfin is a fork of MB, and MB and Plex are related projects. But Jellyfin is a, so before something called MB went closed source, the Jellyfin developers forked it and started working on it in an open source way. So hence we have Jellyfin. Headphones, I do not have headphones for demo here. Headphones, basically what it does is I just tell it what kind of music I want. It goes on the web, searches torrents, gives it to transmission. Transmission downloads it, and the Python script places it into the Jellyfin music directory. So this is all that is running on my Raspberry Pi. Now I would like to wait and take some questions if you guys have any.
Okay, so we have a question by Ayan. So how do you manage backups and rollbacks in case of a catastrophic crash?
So I use ButterFS in my hard disk that is connected to the Pi. So I use snapshots in ButterFS for backup. I save, so my laptop has a 2 TB hard disk. I remotely save all those snapshots from my Pi to my hard disk.
Okay, so we have another one. So what is
Yeah,
your RPi boot media?
my RPi boot media is an SD card. I was USB booting, but I realized it's not the most reliable thing in the world. After after a couple of times, it had happened to me that the pen drive which was plugged into it was a little bit loose, and I thought the Pi had booted. It was working headlessly. I was confused. It's not. According to me, it was not reliable. So hence, I'm SD card booting right now. Okay, waiting for more questions.
While we wait, can you share some details about what is rain loop exactly?
Rain loop. Okay, so maybe I can even show you guys rain loop. So rain loop is a webmail client. So we have, for example, we have Outlook, we have Gmail, we have rain loop. Rain loop is for self-hosted mails and I mean, you can use Outlook mails on this. So just give me 1 second. I'll stop my screen share to enter this backup code. I mean, 2 ago. Okay, I will turn on my screen share. Screen to share. Yeah. So this is what rain loop is about. It's a basic, very basic mail client. One of the greatest things about rain loop is this is something that I've not seen in any other mail client is GPG support. So these days I've been trying to sign my GPG keys and sorry, sign my emails via my GPG keys and use encryption for people I know whose public key I have. Okay, I see another question. Which password manager and authenticator? I use the one built into Nextcloud, so Nextcloud has support for passwords. I was considering running Bitwarden, but it was too much work. Any other questions? Shall we move forward?
Yeah, sure. We can wait for the questions while you continue with the talk.
Okay, so okay. I just need 1 second, then I'll continue. Just 1 second.
Okay.
अरे 9 बज गए क्या? इनके इतने जल्दी कैसे बैठ गए सब?
8:30 था।
वही तो।
बस
आ जा, ज्वाइन करना है, उधर ही बैठते हैं, आ जाओ।
ठीक है।
हाँ पीयूष,
हाँ सर।
इतनी जल्दी आ गए यार सारे।
सर आई थिंक 8 का ही टाइम था ना इसका मीटअप का।
मेरे को तो 9 दिख रहा है उसमें।
मेरे ख्याल से 20 ही तो कहा था।
20 था।
अच्छा नहीं, कम्युनिटी चेक इन सर, कम्युनिटी
Hello?
चेक इन था 21 पे।
21 है यार।
हाँ सर।
नहीं नहीं, आज आज हेलो, आज टॉक थी 8 बजे, 9 बजे से मीटअप स्टार्ट है। उससे पहले टॉक है एक 8 बजे।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ वो चल रही, वही चल रही है अभी। 9 बजे से स्टार्ट है मीटअप।
स्टार्ट हो गई टॉक?
हाँ टॉक स्टार्ट हो गई है। इसके बाद जो नॉर्मल होती है हमारी फ्राइडे मीटअप, वो है 9 बजे।
ठीक है, सौरभ ज्वाइन कर ले, मैं लॉग आउट कर रहा हूँ बीवी से।
ठीक है,
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
मानव कंटिन्यू कर लियो जब चाहिए।
Yeah, I'm continuing right now. So if we move on, I'm now going to discuss a little bit about how all this functions and connects to the internet and how I can access all this outside of my home network. So all of these are essential. So my ISP does not let me open any other ports apart from Airtel lets me open ports, but it does not let me open ATN 443. So I could not directly serve anything from my Raspberry Pi. And I did not actually want to open ports directly into my home network because I have some IoT devices running at home, and I just felt like it was a bit of a security concern for me at least. So what I did was I created these SSH tunnels which allow port forwarding, and I directly forward these ports of Nextcloud, for example, which runs on my home server. Nextcloud, the port for Nextcloud is forwarded directly to this Oracle Cloud VM, and this serves Nextcloud. So Nginx is basically acting as a reverse proxy for my Nextcloud running at my home, and is I'm forwarding that port to this VM. It also has two more things running on it that I would like to discuss. So first of them is something called CryptAd, which is essentially an alternative to Google Docs, I think. So basically, Google Docs lets you collaboratively edit documents, right? So this is an alternative to Google Docs. There are public instances, but as far as I know, they give you only 50 MB of space. I think CryptAd.fr now has 1 GB of space for COVID time. So you can create polls, you can create sheets, canvas, presentations, codes, and rich text on it. And I simply love how presentations work on CryptAd. So the presentation which I am presenting over here is also made on my CryptAd instance. And the basic idea is that you type in Markdown and you just do this to go to the next slide. So, I mean, I did not really like moving things around while making presentations using my mouse. So this is a very handy thing for me. This reduces my ability to format things on presentations a little bit. But most times I just want something simple like uh, having white text on black background or something like that. So presentation feature is amazing. The code feature supports the code pad supports so many languages. Of course, it does not have support for compiling any of them. You can see HTML previews on the right side and you can see Markdown previews, but it has support for all these languages, which you guys can see. And what I really like is it also has support for org mode. So for people who like Emacs or may have used org mode before, it is an amazing thing. I use it often. So we have another thing that I host is Dendrite, which is a Matrix home server. So it is a very new server. Earlier, the conventional server for Matrix home servers is Synapse, but this server was supposed to be just a single person server just for me, and Dendrite is for developed at least for similar purposes right now, and it's in beta, but it works really well for me. And yeah, so I host Dendrite for that. Next up, I serve all of the Jellyfin content via an Azure Cloud VM, and I could have easily used this same tunnel to serve Jellyfin as well. In fact, I was doing so since the past for like 4 or 5 months, but then I realized that okay, this is not working because the thing with Jellyfin is it has the ability to create parallel streams of requests, and you can request multiple things at the same time, and it works. But if your bandwidth is limited, uh, it like reduces those requests, and the media loads very slowly, and it's not fun at all. So yeah, that's why I moved Jellyfin to a separate cloud VM. And in the end of my setup, I have two Ghost CMS websites running on an Oracle Cloud VM. And this is it. So for as far as the configuration for these is concerned, my Raspberry Pi 4 has 4 GB of RAM and 4 cores of CPU. It is an ARM64 based computer. All these three have 1 GB of RAM, I think, and 2 CPU cores each. And they have around 50 GB of storage on all of them. And I have 20 GB of object storage, which I can attach to any of these Oracle Cloud VMs. Yeah, so this this is pretty much my setup and the end of today's talk. Oh yeah, one thing which I forgot to cover was how much do I pay for all this. So the thing is, Oracle Cloud has a free tier which lets you get 2 VMs for free lifetime. I do not pay for that. The only cost that I incur right now is running my Raspberry Pi at home 24/7, and that's pretty much it. This is how you can reach out to me. Thank you everyone for having me here. The floor is now open for any questions that you guys might have. Is there any blog/write up? So it's basically, I can actually demo it right now. It's just one command for SSH tunneling. So basically, if I use capital L and do this, it will bind port whatever's running on port 8080, whatever's running on port 8000, it will bind it to 8080. So essentially, if I, for example, I have Nextcloud running on, I think it's on 9443, and if I bind both these and connect, okay, this is this is the connection. And if I now go to localhost, port was it? It was 9443. Yeah, so I need to do HTTPS because Nextcloud does not like HTTP connections. At least the Nextcloud container that I'm using. And yeah, I have Nextcloud. This is how the reverse tunneling setup works. I will be writing a blog very soon on my entire setup, and I will post the link in the group. Okay, what things are needed on the VM side? I did not get your question. Basically, yeah, it only needs OpenSSH, nothing else. It is basically like SSHing from my machine into another one with just one additional parameter. That's it.
Hey Manav, Satya here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, how much time does it take, or do you offer services of these to someone if they want to set up?
I did not get your question. I mean,
Hey,
it was
man,
not
you
very clear.
tell your skills for this, like setting up Nextcloud and all that.
Time.
Yeah, I'm asking, do you want to sell this as a service?
Okay, again, for some reason, Satya's voice is not clear to me.
One second, hold on. Let me have my headphones. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, all of this is running on Docker and Docker Compose. I can post all the compose files and my nginx const. I am very soon going to put it on my GitLab.
Is it audible now, Manav?
Yes.
So my question is, it's a very typical open source question. Like, let's say somebody comes and asks you, okay, hey, can you set this for me? So how much will you be charging per hour, per month, or you say, okay, did you do that kind of work?
Yeah. I mean, I have not actually. I have worked with SFLC and as a system administrator intern.
Hmm.
I was paid for that, but I've not actually thought about uh, setting up per hour charges or things like that.
Oh, okay, don't worry. I'll talk to you in private. Maybe I can offer you something on that front. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.
The floor is still open for questions. Okay, seeing no questions, I think we can wrap this up. Okay, thank you everyone for joining in. Please stay if you want to attend our quiz and our community check-in.
No, I think we have a lot of time remaining, so we can end this call and join back again at 9
We
rather than
can.
waiting till 9 because I thought that your talk would take 1 hour, but it's
Even
okay.
I did.
Yeah, it was
Even I
30.
did it would have taken
Yeah.
1 hour.
It was pretty
So
quick. So if anyone wants, I can also show my home server setup if you
Yeah,
want,
definitely.
or you
so
can like.
so who else is using apart from Nextcloud? Any other services? Any other softwares people have?
Oh yes, I can show you something.
Sure, show me, show me.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Because I'm familiar with it, so somebody's asking me. That's the reason I ask Manav, and I'm trying to teach him how to value your time and
Okay.
make money from things you learn.
Yeah.
One sec.
Yeah, Manav, तुमने जब बोला ना कि you just have the electricity cost, raspberry cost, you did not add your time, right? There is a value to that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. It is not. It. Again, I paid in terms of my time on setting all these services for myself.
Correct.
People who do not use these open services pay in terms of their data.
Okay.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also run a home server. It's basically on the Raspberry Pi 4 GB variant, and my requirements are fairly simple than Manav. So I'm
Mhm.
running container, and everything is in Docker Compose. So it's if anyone wants to replicate that, you can take the Docker Compose file and just run one command, and you will have this running on your Raspberry Pi. So we have 17 containers here, but don't get intimidated because most of is something which I'm not using directly. So the directly which I'm using is Pi-hole, as Manav showed. It's basically the ad blocker. So it runs on port 8089, I guess. Manav, just correct me if I'm wrong.
Mine runs on a local machine, so it's not on a port. Mine is not
Okay.
Dockerized.
Let me see. I think it should run on.
Potainer, I think Potainer does show you, right?
Yes, it does show you, but I am not very. I think this should be it.
Yeah, 8080. 8089 ideally should
Yeah,
work.
8089. Yeah.
We need to add admin here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you can see that how much ad it's blocking already. So 6160 already 87,500. So it's quite usable, I would say. The main thing which I use for is my home automation server, and there are a few other things here as well. So let's see in the stack. So we have Mosquito, which is my MQTT broker. So I do a lot of MQTT stuff, IoT stuff. So it's there. Portainer is this one. Pi-hole I just showed you. Grafana and InfluxDB, these are stopped as of now, but I mostly use it for InfluxDB is a time series database. So if I'm reading any sensor data, I'll store it in InfluxDB, and Grafana is like a dashboard. So you can plot some graphs and things like that. This is another thing which I'm running. I am not sure if it's still there, but let me see if I can up this because it's quite interesting for me. It's basically shows the pi health and all. So let me see if I'm able to up this. Maybe. Interesting. Okay, it's not here. Uh, nope, it's not here. Let's see. One more try. Stack. Oh, it's not here. Anyway, the major thing which I run here is my home assistant server, which is the home automation. So I'll open my camera, I think, but I'm not sure if I would be able to show you that as well. Let's see. So you can see me right over here. Can anyone confirm?
Yes, we see you, but there is a lag.
Okay. Yeah, there would be some lag. So I am able to control my room lights from this. So these are the controls for my room lights. And there are some other controls which obviously you cannot see from my balcony. I have an international clock. These are basically the time zone where I work with different people. So my colleagues from Germany, Japan, Singapore. And yes, so these are the main control. I also have another scene for my iPad thing, and this is also working with Alexa and Siri and Google Home. So I can do like if this is the Siri, turn off main lights.
Okay, the main lights are off.
So you can see this was Siri, and if you want to do it with Alexa, turn on main lights. So you can see that's work from Alexa as well. So yeah, that was my
Sorry, the device main lights isn't responding.
okay. Yeah, so that was my home server. Yeah, that's pretty much all which I run.
So how much delay do you get while using the via Pi-hole, right? Like I presume that's the kind of gateway you use it via Pi-hole only, right?
The Pi-hole is the ad blocker here.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So all your traffic is going through your Raspberry Pi, right?
yeah, everything is going through my Raspberry Pi. It's
Yeah.
a gateway. Yeah, correct.
So, is there any latency because of that? Did you measure it?
Not significant. So if you have a good internet connection, it's not something that you will notice very easily.
Okay.
It's quite fast, yeah.
So, Portainer is for something like Nextcloud only?
No, Portainer is like, since I run everything on container,
Okay. Just to
I
manage
think,
container, just like
yeah,
Kubernetes. Okay.
yeah, right. So this is like managing containers. So I can see my container health, which containers are on which port, things like that.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, Portainer is that thing. And
So, 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 so
Nextcloud don't run on Docker, I believe.
hey, Manav, any other software apart from Nextcloud? Because somebody was asking me for something
Yeah.
like this, so I also zeroed
Uh,
in on Nextcloud only.
I so are you asking about Nextcloud alternative?
Yeah, yeah. Are there any other options? Because open source, there is always one more option.
Yeah. So we have, I think syncing is another thing, but the thing with Nextcloud is that it's a group pair, so it lets you add photos, talk, contacts, everything in there, and something called syncing. Yeah.
Sync, SYNK.
No, it's SYNC, I think.
Okay, let me check.
Syncing. So it lets you sync files
The
to
sync
and
thing is
from.
just for, I guess, like
Files.
syncing files on different devices, right?
Yeah.
Not sharing and like managing
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Nextcloud is so much more. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
This is just for file syncing and sharing. Nextcloud lets you do a whole bunch of things with that.
So, Saurabh, what is our requirement with Nextcloud? Will we be needing some customization also, or it will be just a simple install for us?
Depends on the number of users, right?
Oh yeah, that was one bottleneck, right? Okay, no issues. We'll talk about it, Manav. I'll reach out to you. Okay.
Sure.
Manav, one question. So Nextcloud में Dropbox की तरह ही है ना कुछ, you can upload files and all. Are you using that as well?
Please repeat your question. Your audio
Ne-
got disturbed.
Nextcloud also has a feature of file hosting like Docker, sorry, like Dropbox. So
Yeah,
are
yeah,
you
yeah.
also using that?
Yeah, of course I'm using that. Okay, I accidentally left via Jitsi on my laptop. I'll just join back in. Yeah, I do use that. I have all these files that are hosted on my Nextcloud. I It supports uploading via drag and drop. It also supports uploading via its desktop client. It has a phone client.
Does it support
So
backups
yes, it does support backup.
and end-to-end encryption?
Of course, it has a plugin for end-to-end encryption.
Okay.
And how is the marketplace developing, Manav? Like obviously, with softwares like this, people start spinning up services to sell and all that. Have you looked
Yeah.
into
Again, this talk was actually about that only, that
it?
how all of I wanted more people to start self-hosting things and move
Right.
away from proprietary SaaS services. So that is actually what this talk was about.
Yeah.
That is, I was demoing all things. And one thing which I did try self-hosting and I did not have a good experience was mail servers.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried three different things. I did try Mailcow, iRed Mail, and Mail in the Box.
Mm-hmm.
All these three did not work for me. iRed Mail did work, but my IP kept getting blacklisted, so that was problematic. After that, I entered into a shared hosting with a bunch of people I know, and they're already hosting their mails on a server. They gave me a mail ID from my domain. That was enough for me.
So, anyone heard of this Holochain project? Anyone have any idea what's happening with it? Because this they were talking about something like self-hosting with shared kind of a thing with a device and all. You know,
No, I've not heard of this.
Ayan,
No, sir, I haven't heard of it as well.
holochain.org. I've just shared the URL in the
Okay,
chat.
yeah, let me check.
So they talk about the same kind of concept with the blockchain. You know.
Okay, so similar to peer-to-peer.
Yep.
Okay, peer-to-peer reminds me, I also have an IPFS node running. I forgot to cover it for some reason, but
Okay.
IPFS is a file system thing. I have not actually figured it out completely, but it's a great thing to upload files and share them peer to peer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember the quote. I think
So,
it was.
so they were talking about this holochain project. They were talking about a big promise of coming with a device which got into like itna delay hua, I don't know, like people who are paid in advance for the device and all that. So I still going on. And what was the language they were using? Saurabh, what was the language they were using to build?
Rust.
Rust. Yeah, they were using Rust to build. Yeah. So this was one similar project which looked very promising and interesting, and they are really good funded also. That's what it looks like.
That was about the talk. Now, animesh quiz बनाई है क्या?
अनिमेश म्यूट में है.
animesh का शायद बारी थी आज quiz बनाने की.
हेलो, क्या?
Yes.
animesh बारी थी ना तेरी quiz बनाने की शायद.
नहीं, मेरी नहीं थी.
किसकी थी पता है?
किसने जीता था?
किसकी?
लास्ट क्विज किसने जीता था?
आई थिंक निखिल जीता था.
नहीं मैं जीता था, आर्यन.
हाँ, आर्यन आर्यन जीता था.
हाँ, बट मैंने पूछा था ग्रुप पे, फिर किसी ने रिप्लाई नहीं किया कि क्विज है कि नहीं. किसी ने ग्रुप पे रिप्लाई नहीं किया.
चलो फिर शो एंड टेल ही करेंगे. 9 बजे और लोग ज्वाइन करेंगे. सो जिसको रुकना
मैंने
रुक जाओ, जिसको बाद में
मैंने
ज्वाइन कर लेना.
1 घंटा पूरा शो एंड टेल कर लिया मैंने तो. चलो.
हाँ.
तुम्हारा हो गया सही.
सही हो गया, सही बता रहा है.
चलो
हाँ.
ज्वाइन करता हूँ फिर.
कर लो, डिनर उनर करना है तो कर लो, अगर जो जल्दी करते हैं.